Hey, Ideal Protein Nation worldwide. Are we psyched for this show today? Man, I tell you, on this show, we are going to break all kinds of laws of nature. We're going halfway around the world. I hope the internet doesn't break on us because I'm so excited for this show. We are going to be intercontinental yet again for the second time. And just to give you a little hint of where we're going. Oh, there it is. Right. Oh, you know I had to do it. Probably going to get in trouble for this. You got it right. We are going to Africa for this show today. And if that wasn't enough, we're going to link up with Little Rock, Arkansas, too. So I tell you what, just for the new people who don't know what this show is all about, the Life Possible podcast, I created the Life Possible podcast almost a year ago, last May, to spotlight successful clients, coaches, and clinic owners who've used the Ideal Protein protocol to reset their body, reset their mind, and reset what's possible for their life. These individuals have truly had life-changing experiences. And now, as a result, they're pursuing goals and dreams that they thought were dead and gone. They're pursuing goals and dreams they didn't even know they could. They're pursuing goals and dreams they never even knew they had. In short, they're living life possible. They're living a life they love so much they don't feel the need to escape from it anymore. So who am I and why am I even doing this? Well, I tell you what, there's no easy way to put this, but, oh, come on now, baby. We are breaking the internet. 6 years ago, I was fat, sick, and depressed. There he is. All right. And I tell you, I make no bones about it. I really believe that God brought me the Ideal Protein protocol as the answer to so many of my prayers, both personally and professionally. These days, I'm living a life where I feel I'm healthy, vibrant, and alive. I'm actually 70 pounds down from that initial picture that I showed on that intro. My name is Dr. John Barnes, and I run the Ideal Protein program at Barnes Chiropractic Health and Fitness. We've been doing this now for 6 years. Our goal is to transform as many lives as we possibly can and help people start their journey to life possible. But enough about me. Let's move on. We have today, I'm just going to start bringing them in. Let me get rid of this guy. We're going to go here. Hey, all the way from Angola, Africa. We have Julie and Felix Lopez.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Shall we bring the other one in or should we just let her hang for a while?
Nah, I think we should bring her in.
All right. And from Little Rock, Arkansas, we've got one of Life Possible podcast stars, Sara Mulero. Hey, how are you, Sara?
I'm doing great. How about y'all?
Fantastic. So I love how you got y'all in there already.
It's who I am. I have to do it.
I am's who I am. How are y'all? So yes, you know what? Again, we've had a lot of fun over the past couple of weeks putting this show together. And I happened to be chatting with Sara on Facebook. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm looking for some future shows. Do you got any good stories for me? And then she blew me away with the story of you two guys. I can't believe she was holding out on me. And that she didn't just come straight out months ago and say, oh my God, you've got to have Felix and Julie on. It's the coolest story ever. So this is going to be our first Ideal Protein Love Connection show. That's what I've named it.
Love it.
And you know what, to get us going though, I really do, I would love for our viewers to try to understand Angola, right? Angola, Africa. Oh,
Angola, yes.
Yeah. So here we are. I put this together to show where you guys are in relationship to Sara and I. It seems like you're down there, southeastern Africa on the coast. Yeah. Southwestern. Yes. See, I'm just like all turned around. Southwestern.
Southwest coast. Yes. And we live in the city that's right on the coast. The city is Luanda.
Okay.
So yeah. There's
Take a
little
look
bit
at
of
So yeah, tell us about these pictures in relationship to your daily life.
So the top left one is our skyline. So that's taken from the top of one of the malls or shopping centers they have here, and it was just got done raining, and we happened to be there. So it was really pretty. The city has a really pretty skyline, and right across from this mall, particularly, is the bay, and that leads out to the Atlantic Ocean. After that, and then below it are some pictures of some monkeys. We went on a little road trip to a little resort outside of the city, and we crossed this river, and the driver stopped and was like, just start throwing the bread out. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, just start throwing it. We started throwing bread out, and like monkeys appeared out everywhere. 20 monkeys. They were coming out, and then I couldn't even take a picture of all of them because they were just everywhere. They were coming from the other side of the road over, and kind of made me a little nervous.
Yeah, so, right?
Jump in the car, but yeah. So, and then on the right-hand side, that's what you kind of see every day is people who sell their goods, fruits and vegetables mostly. And the women, they carry their fruits and vegetables or anything on their head. And a lot of times you'll see a baby strapped to the back. Of them.
Yeah, wow.
Very, very common. That's just how they transport and carry their things. They just carry it by the head. It's very impressive. And you'll see big variety of fruits and vegetables that they carry. And then below it is just a beautiful picture we saw at the resort. That was the resort we were at right before the monkeys. So that's Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I tell you though, the basket on this head is a chiropractor. That's crazy right now, right? All right. Maybe you know what? Maybe there's room for me over there. Maybe I could come over, set up shop.
Oh, come on over. I'm like, we need a chiropractor over here.
There you go. Hey, you know what? Don't you worry. At the end of the show, I'm going to tell you we're planning a trip. So we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. All right. So let's bring you guys back out and let's just talk about, let's set the stage. Both of you did the Ideal Protein program, correct?
Yep.
Both of you had the opportunity and the experience of having Sara as your coach. Yes?
Yes.
And so let's do this in chronological order. Felix, we're going to go with you first because you started the program first. And you were actually good. You were friends with Sara even before you got started.
Oh, I've been knowing Sara since 2008 at one point in time. Yeah. So
yeah,
for the last 13 plus years at this point in time now.
Yeah. I think this is neat because as we were setting the stage and you guys were telling your story to me, you're really great friends with Sara and her husband, and you actually saw them go through their weight loss journey.
That's correct. So it might have been a few months, a little more since I saw him at one point, and from point A to point B, and I made it back to town because at that point I was living in a different city in Louisiana. And I came down to do something in the same city, and I went visit, and was a shocker. I didn't recognize Luis when I pulled up to their house, and he was outside cleaning the grass or doing something. I thought I got to the wrong house. I almost pulled myself. And said, "Whoa!" Then she comes out, "Hey, how's it going?" And all of a sudden, "Oh, who are you?"
Right, you're like, "Wait a second, where'd Sara and Luis go? Who are you guys?"
Yeah, no. That was I don't even know what year that was, but that was a very eye-opening, shocking moment right there for sure.
Yeah, but it took you a while to come to the concept that this might be something that you would want to do.
So honestly, even if I was at that point, I didn't feel like I was any bigger or any out, like the pictures or something that you show, or how, I don't know if you are showing or not yet. But no, it took me a long time after. It wasn't until 2017 that I came to terms with that I needed to do something, right? Between medical issues and, for the lack of a better word, a few scaffolds from my doctor and situations. Between that and I had already started traveling to Angola at that point in time, and the traveling to and from was getting very uncomfortable. I had already been maybe 6 months or so at this point in time when I started rotating. So it was starting to take a toll on me. So I needed to do something about it.
So we're talking about a time period. I've got your before pictures up here, both Julie and Felix. We're talking about a time period where you looked like this guy in the picture. Yes,
that was maybe I want to say late 2014.
Yeah. So, Sara, you and I were talking about from a coach's standpoint. It's so hard to see people in your life who could benefit from doing the program. And you sow in your heart, you love these people, and you sow in your heart would like for them to do the program. Yet you can't bring yourself, which amazes me about you. You can't bring yourself to come out and just say, "Oh my God, Felix, you've got to do Ideal Protein."
I knew if I did that, just knowing Felix, he would have shut me down so dang fast and told me all about. Felix and I have a lot of the same personality traits, which is a wonder that we get along as well as we do. And I knew he would have shut me down, and I would have been shut down not just then, but forever. And I know that about him because that's how my mind works. So I had to tread lightly, and I knew if and when the time came, he would come to me. And he did.
That's just what you got to do, though, right? It's a situation of you don't want to be overbearing about it. You don't want to have them put up walls or defenses about it. You do need them to come to you. And it's just kind of a waiting game. It's a process of, crossing your fingers every once in a while, throwing up a prayer. And one day Felix comes to you and says,
"Can I do this Ideal Protein thing?" And I wanted to just grab his cheeks and kiss him. And I was like, "Yes, hell yes, you can do this. I've been waiting for this day my entire life."
Yeah.
It was in my living room. I'll never forget it. It was wonderful.
I think it was fixing to come back to Angola and as well, right? Or I don't know. It was one of those moments that I said, "All right, I need to do something." I just said it right there, right?
Well, you waited to do it in person because you knew you wanted to see my expression because you know it was going to be big. So, I mean, you told me you had something to tell me, but I didn't know what it was. So not until I got to my living room.
That's fantastic. And yeah, again, I don't know that our listeners actually got that, Felix. At this stage of the game, you are going back and forth between Angola, Louisiana, and Texas to visit your friends. Yes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was my route and home for me at that time was Lafayette, Louisiana. So I was going to and from Angola, Lafayette, and then traveling to Texas when I was home, right? So I would spend a few days in Texas, then I would head back and then finish my days off and head back whenever. So on one of those trips to Texas, I said, "All right, how do I start this?"
And so we're going to say at a starting weight, what was your starting weight?
460 pounds.
Wow. Again, that traveling around the world like that at that weight. And we also talked about the crazy idea that a lot of times you never went through the same connecting airport forwards and backwards, right? What other connecting airports are there generally?
So out of Lafayette, you only have three options, or you had three options at that point in time. So you had either Lafayette, Dallas through American Airlines, to Houston through United, or Atlanta through Delta. And then from there, you would either go Atlanta to either Amsterdam or Paris, Houston to Frankfurt, Germany, or DFW to London to Heathrow Airport. And then from there, another flight down to Luanda.
Wow, that's just crazy traveling too.
Yeah, those were my main routes. I had some odd ones through the years when I was rotating. Mm-hmm. Maybe one time my flight got canceled because of hurricanes or something, and I recall I had to drive from Lafayette to New Orleans, and then I took a flight to New Orleans. I took a drive from flight from New Orleans to St. Paul, Minnesota, and then from St. Paul to Amsterdam, and then from there down to Luanda. Then I went another route: Houston, Lafayette, Houston, New York, Portugal. Coming back one time, I went from Luanda to South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. So I've been a little bit all over the place on my.
Wow.
There's no easy way.
Yeah.
No easy way. No direct way here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got started with Ideal Protein. Tell us about that. What was it like to get started? Sara, you went to Sara's office, right?
Yeah, so I went to the clinic and I started my protocol introduction and presentation. We did the initial weights, selected the food, and obviously since I remember that when I started, I was also in the process of accounting for food to bring to Angola because I was not too far from coming back here. So when I started, I needed to account not just for the week, like Julie usually just used to go every week. But I had to account for that, and I had to account for the 5 to 6 weeks that I was going to be away. So I needed to account for all that, and then I started taking my notes on the journal, everything else, checking in with Sara, and then I came here, and then over here, it's not that it's bad, but it's complicated because you're only so limited on what you have, and especially at that point in time, it's not like Julie's here now and she cooks and everything else. I was at a staff house, so we had a cook, and the menu was pretty much set for every day. So I didn't have the flexibility of saying I need this, I need that, I need to adjust to what they have.
Oh wow!
So between the protocol and vegetables, which for the most part, and Sara would always laugh about this, most of my vegetables here on rotation were lettuce. Because that is, you can get that every single day, so it's not as struggling. So I was basically, for that meal in the afternoon, it would be a bed of lettuce with some meat. That was basically what I did, and I recall, just everybody asking. And at one point, because I remember that first hitch that I was here that I started, halfway through the hitch, people started seeing a difference. And I recall one of my colleagues pulled me aside one day and asked me, "Hey, are you feeling okay?" Why? You look like you're changed, and I cannot put my finger on what it is, but you have changed.
Yeah.
So, and again, you see yourself every single day, so you don't really acknowledge it at first sight, right? But then as the weeks kept going, and I was fixing to leave, people that might have been here at the same time as me on the same hitch, or people coming in, were like, "Whoa, you look different." But again, you don't see it, right? I could feel the fact that my pants were not fitting anymore, and my pants were falling off.
Yeah.
And then the turning point was when I got onto the plane leaving, because at this point I was always using an extension to be able to strap myself on the plane.
Yep. Heading
out, I forgot to pull my extension from my backpack, and I said, "You know what? I feel a little more comfortable here. Let me see if I can strap myself in without extension." Oh well, hello. This is new. It went in, no issues, no hesitation, nothing.
Wow.
And that was it. I said, "Oh, okay. So this is why everybody keeps stopping me and asking me if I'm feeling okay and I'm not sick or anything like that." Because I wasn't making a public thing, right? It was just a personal thing at that point.
Yeah, and it's that is a milestone for so many people when I hear about their stories and their journeys, is not needing that extender when you fly or when you travel. And in fact, Sara, you talked about that in your Amazing Transformation, I think.
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
So, Felix, I take it you were probably just dropping weight like a champ, right? Do you remember how many average pounds a week you'd probably?
So that, I don't remember the average per week. Obviously, I guess we could take it if we divide by 5 weeks, because I was checking myself for the most part, just officially every 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But I remember that on that same trip coming back after the first time, and I went to see Sara, she looked at me and said, "You dropped 45 pounds."
I cried. I don't ever show emotion, and anyone that was watching this knows, but he had me literally bawling when I saw him when he came to Plano. Like, I cried like a big baby. So, yeah.
Well, so it was probably how many weeks that you had not seen him? Was it 5 or 6?
No,
I think it was 8.
At that point, was because she saw me 2 weeks before leaving. Might have been more, actually. It might have been you saw me either 1 or 2 weeks before I left. Then I did 6 weeks at hitch, and then I was a week home before I went to Plano. So anywhere between 8 to 9 weeks
Yeah.
Was the guy
Yeah.
on that first one. Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
that's
from that point on, I do recall that I was losing per hitch maybe 20 to 25 pounds. Every time I came back, I was 20 to 25 pounds lighter.
Yeah. That's about right.
God,
So
that has to be an amazing experience as a coach, right?
It was awesome. And because I personally knew him, it affected me more than a regular patient. And I hate to say that in a public forum, but I was just so prideful, but I tried not to show it too much.
Yeah.
I was so excited for him and seeing it. And I would tear up often just because I was so moved by all the effort he put into it, because I've known him for so long.
And again, you talk about your clients who struggle and say, "Oh, it's so hard to do phase 1," and then you've got a guy who is traveling to Angola and back, and who's doing it, right?
Not just a guy, John. It is a Puerto Rican who did not know what a vegetable was prior to meeting me. And vegetables to Puerto Ricans, God love all you Boricuas, is rice and beans. Okay, that's vegetables. And the sad salads that come with translucent tomatoes. So he literally had never, the only veggies I had ever witnessed Felix Lopez eat was potatoes of any sort and corn. Maybe not even corn. Not corn. I think it was just potatoes, honest to God. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him eat anything other than potatoes.
Wow.
Because they're very reminiscent of plantains. So,
There you go.
And that's similar here. The vegetables here are very similar to that. A lot of potatoes, that kind of stuff. So
the diet here is very carby. So everything is, if you go anywhere and you go to any restaurant or any cafeteria or whatever, even at the staff house, and this is maybe the most evident example here. At the staff house, it didn't matter how much it changed on a daily basis. You will always have the basics. You're going to have your rice, some sort of a cooked potato. It could have been boiled, fried, etc. It doesn't matter. Then you have 2 types of meat, and then you had a cooked vegetable, and then your salad spread. That was basically what you're going to see every single day. And if you saw something different, it was because they replaced the rice with pasta. But over here,
there you go.
Everything is very carby. Everything will have beans. Everything will have rice, potatoes, something on those lines. Every plate it's part of their culture.
Yeah. Wow. All right. I tell you what. Let's shift gears real quick, and Julie. Let's talk about your decision to start Ideal Protein.
go ahead.
Let's go back. I'm going to bring out the pictures again. Hey, there's Julie before.
That picture was taken like a couple days after I started. I went out to, I was a teacher, and I went out to the 5th grade camp. And so I made sure I was prepared when I went out to camp, because usually at camp that night is fire night, and they have s'mores. And so I knew for sure they'd have that. So I made sure I brought my little snack with me so I could have it. So that was just getting started on Ideal Protein. My journey started really the thought of trying to change myself or change my lifestyle was of August of 2017. So it was right before the school year started. We took a cruise with our family, and we had been on several cruises before. My family were very avid cruisers. That's something that we love to enjoy, and we love doing it together. And so we went on a cruise. It was to the Bahamas, and so it was supposed to be super fun, super relaxing vacation right before school, and I felt terrible. We stopped at one of the ports, and my feet got super swollen. I just was not having any fun. I was miserable. And that night after we got back on the boat, I stayed in bed because I was like, I can't go to dinner. This is terrible. I don't feel good at all. And then shortly after coming back, I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, you need to start looking at some things. Your blood sugar doesn't look well. All those little target points that they look at when they look at your blood work. And so I started thinking, I need to do something, to change things. So I tried things on my own, and through my whole life, I always would try different types of diets, different fads, to lose weight. I always remember myself, even as a child, not being a small child, you know, I've always felt like I was the bigger girl growing up too. So it was something I struggled with forever. So a friend of my mom's was seeing Sara. And so she told me about the program, and I was like, well, I'm interested. So my mom and I went to a seminar, and when we went to the seminar, it worked out perfectly that my mom and I were the only ones there. So we had a little private session with Sara. So that was awesome, because that really kind of sealed the deal, because I was able to be real with Sara, and she was able to be real with us. So it was just awesome that it worked out that way. And
yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. You guys, when we were going through the pre-interview, we were talking about that. It was, it is, and I agree. When I would see on my schedule, when I would do a workshop, oh, you've only got 1 or 2 people. It's kind of like, oh, okay, you know what? But I can't not do the whole show, right? I mean, as the person doing the workshop, you're going to do that whole show with everything you got every time you do it, right?
Exactly.
So tell us about that. Tell us about that night, Sara, and doing workshops for 1 or 2 people. Do you enjoy that?
I actually love when it's 1 or 2 people. It's really hard when there's 25 in a room to focus and be able to give your full attention to people. So I particularly remember meeting Julie because it was just her and her mom, but it was also, Julie was at a point in her life where, I don't know if she recognized this, but I did when she walked in. She was so hard on herself, she couldn't even make eye contact with me because she didn't know much about me, right? She sees this smaller person, doesn't know my background, and I don't ever tell them my whole background before going through the presentation. And the whole entire seminar, like, she's engaged, but she can't make eye contact. And
Wow.
so the entire time, and I don't even know if Julie knows this, so this is going to be a surprise.
I love when this stuff comes out.
I kept thinking to myself, my God, if her and her mom will just do this, I can help her. I know I can help her. Please, for the love of God, turn in a health profile. Say yes at the end of this. That's going through my mind the entire time. And I think the point where I knew Julie was going to be mine was I showed my amazing transformation video, or no, I showed my before and after pictures.
Yes.
And she and her mom both were like, oh my God. You could just tell the weight had been lifted off of their shoulders. And from that point on, Julie was able to talk to me, touch me, feel like I was another person just like her. And I knew at that point she was going to be in my life. I just didn't know when.
Yeah. Oh man. That's
It didn't take long. It didn't take long. That was a Monday, and I saw her Friday, like 5 days later.
Yep.
So
that's awesome. So yeah. So Julie, this workshop of Sara's, it had an impact on you and your mom, and what was the discussion afterwards?
it was one of those discussions. It really wasn't even a discussion of, should I do this? Should I not do it? It was more like, okay, we're going to do this. This is our plan of action. This is what we're going to do. We're going to commit ourselves to it so we can just create a better, healthy lifestyle for us. And at that point, it wasn't for me I was more focused on just becoming healthier at that point. It wasn't so much more to build my confidence. That just came as a plus later, but it was just like, I gotta get healthy because I don't want to go back to the doctor and have to get on medicines and all that because I didn't want to go there. You know, I had lost my dad about a year and a half before that. And so I was like, I don't want to, take any chances. And I kept telling my mom, I was like, Mom, you're the only parent I have left. We got to, keep you around. We got to keep you healthy, keep you around. So it was just a discussion of more of when are you going to start? When am I going to start? Not if this is right. Because we felt right away that this was something, because I needed something that was going to teach me, not necessarily just a fad that was going to blow over. I just needed it to become a lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sara, I love you talking about doing the workshop, but looking at them and then what's going on inside your head, right?
Yeah.
We all have that experience when we're talking to people and literally inside you're just like, oh God, please say yes. Please say yes. This is perfect for you. This is going to be, this is going to be life-changing for you. And I love how you say that, because there are so many coaches out there that are they have that every single time they do the workshop.
I also want to add that Felix did go to a intro seminar. It just happened to be in my living room at like 9:00 at night. But no matter who you are and you're in my life and a patient, I am the education queen. You are going to see every presentation I do in my repertoire. I don't care who you are. My dad,
that's
my best
awesome.
friend, whatever. So he did go through all the steps before getting started.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fantastic. So, Julie, you got going. You and Mom got going, and how did things go for you?
I started and I was committed. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I remember the first meal I made, and I made, my 2 cups of vegetables. I think it was squash and zucchini, and then I had some ground beef. I remember sitting there eating all this ground beef going, I'd never eaten that much protein in my life. And I was like,
right.
I don't know if this is the right thing. Like, I felt like I was the kid that had to finish their dinner before leaving the table, but then I was like, oh, this isn't bad. Like, I was like, oh, I got this, 6 ounces of protein. I got this, all this vegetables. I got this. Not a big deal. I loved vegetables. So that was never a problem for me. I'm not a picky eater. I wasn't picky before. So it was more just choosing the right things to eat. So I started and kept on going. I did struggle at first leaving my house to go eat. Like, I wanted just to stay home because I knew exactly how to eat at home, and I didn't want to go out to eat. I was afraid, but then I started helping me with that step, that's part of the coaching. You just, help overcome. And she would push me and challenge me, be like, okay, this week I need you to make a new side. Like, you've had the same side like 4 times last week. You need to, try a new one. So she was so great of like every week putting me to a challenge of like, okay, try a different protein. Try a different, recipe, want to see something different. And at that point I would get so excited, and I would take pictures of my meals and send her, like, whenever I was trying things new. So then it just didn't become an issue or, anything that held me back. I was like, okay, I got this, just kind of had to get out of that bubble of my, area of comfort. So.
Well, that's awesome, because that was going to be my next question is, what is it like to have Sara as a coach?
She's very real. she tells you how it is.
she's little, but if you ask her, she's 10 feet tall. I always joke that I'm 6'7", so she's basically me, but on a smaller package.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Yeah, but, like, so real. Just when you didn't follow something in your journal, or she would ask why, and you talk through those kind of things just to make sure she understood, if you didn't have such a great week, why, or, if you did have if you had a great week, celebrate that, and why, what made it a great week. And, the cooking events are what really helped me at the beginning. She would host ones. The first one I attended was getting ready for Thanksgiving. Yeah. And that was the first holiday coming up. So that was a little, how am I going to manage Thanksgiving and get through it? Well, she came up with an event to help us, both my mom and I, get through Thanksgiving eating on protocol. And so thank goodness for that. And another way to get out there and try new things was always attending these great events of hers.
Yeah, and Sara's famous for that. In fact, she's so famous for that. That's why I invited her on the show back before Thanksgiving. So she had the Thanksgiving episode of the Life Possible podcast. Right. I'm hoping that might become an annual thing. We're not sure. We'll see.
I'm down.
So from your point of view, Sara, what was it like to work with Julie? Seems to me like she was the ideal client, quite actually.
So Julie was really honestly, probably one of the easiest patients that I probably ever have had. She literally took everything in stride, even on some of the weeks where she did some things that were questionable. And like she said, we would hash it out. I would tell her, hey, this is what's going on in your body when you do these things. So I need you to be here so that we don't hurt ourselves next week. And she took everything I said to heart, which any coach that's listening to this knows that sometimes never happens with a patient. And I could tell she really wanted this more and more as we went through it. What she didn't know that I was also seeing was each week I got to see a little bit more of a confident, more self-aware Julie. And it just blossomed as she went through this. She was a really great patient. She was always willing to help another struggling patient when we had support groups or these events. She was always the first one to volunteer. I used to have a big private Facebook group, and I'd say, hey, I need 6 volunteers to help me run this event. Julie would be the first one to say yes, I'm in. So, I mean, she was really an ideal patient, no pun intended. And there was one time I told her, and it was early on in her Idle Protein life, she was losing weight, and I don't remember why she was kind of upset with herself. And I was like, chick, you're dropping weight like a dude, calm down.
Yes, that was one of my favorite quotes that you shared with me during the pre-interviews.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay. Like, okay. Yeah. And it's one of those things, like Felix said, like it's hard to see it within yourself when you see yourself in the mirror every day. Like you don't see it, it's when the others start seeing it, you're like, oh, and then when you hear it, you're, starting to believe it yourself too. Like, oh yeah. So.
Well, I mean, one of the challenges I had her do, I remember, was like after that conversation, I said, hey, start taking selfies. I know it seems like you're full of yourself, but start taking selfies so you can see the change.
See, that's why we take photos.
That's why you make Felix take photos?
See, the only pictures I take are passport pictures or visa pictures, and then the pictures that she forces me to take. I'm not a picture taking situation.
I know.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but I couldn't resist. All right. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. It seems like, again, it's from that workshop where you guys had never met. You didn't know anything really about each other. Pretty quickly on in Julie's journey, you guys started to become pretty good friends.
It's true. I had a surgery and I couldn't bend. So I asked a couple of patients. I had a morning patient that volunteered to do my measuring for patients and an evening patient. And so for 2 weeks, I needed help measurement wise. And Julie was, like I said, the first person always to say, yeah, I want to do that. And, seeing 60 patients in a day, you really get to know somebody back to back. So she was with me the whole afternoon after school until about 9 o'clock at night and measuring people. So we got to see a different side of each other in that couple of Fridays she helped me. And she got to see my coaching style be utilized outside of her appointment, because it's important to know that I changed per person. I might need to be on you pretty rough like I was Felix, or maybe I need to just be like hands off like I was with Julie and just push her towards new things. So, it was nice for her to see these things.
Yeah. That's amazing too, right? What an experience that is for a client. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think she was a little bit scared of me after that, but that's okay.
I knew how to behave every week and do my journal, take, all my supplements,
I was going to say, did her compliance really go through the roof after that experience? Probably, right?
She was already compliant, but I'll tell you what, she never missed a vitamin or a branch chain amino acid.
And she still doesn't. If I during the day when she texts, one of the first things she texts me about it is, "You take your vitamins this morning?" Because I keep my vitamins for the morning at the office.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I don't personally forget about it. So no, she tries to keep the compliance even if she's not sitting in the office.
I'm a rule follower.
Yes.
You have to follow all rules.
Well, and again, I don't know that many people understand or know this either about you, Julie, but this actually led to you becoming an Ideal Protein coach too. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah, I was an Ideal Protein coach. It wasn't until April 2018 is when I I started at a different clinic in Plano. And so I had voiced to Sarah that, after I helped her out, I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, I could do this,
Yeah.
I'm a teacher, so I was like, this is like teaching,
Absolutely.
Shortly, I was still within my phase 1 journey, and I started coaching. It was a clinic that needed evenings and a weekend, so it was perfect. So, and it helped me like continue to stay motivated. I was motivated others. I have to set the example for myself. So, yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I think that's fantastic. I didn't know that about your story until we started talking about that. So that's just one more layer there, right? All right, so let's get to the good stuff. So both of you guys are dropping weight like champs, and your lives are changing, and you and Sara are becoming great friends. And there was evidently a visit where Sara sensed that there was something you wanted to talk about, and she drew it out of you. What was that?
Yeah, so it was spring. It was 2018. It was in the spring. And I was just like, I'm feeling better, but, she finally pulled it out of me because we had extra time because she didn't have an appointment. So we started like talking and getting real. And I was like, I thought like once I was losing all this, like I would get the confidence and I would find somebody, I was like, maybe I just need to put myself back on dating profiles, online dating, try it again. I just was very down about that part because, I was like, well, I always wanted to find somebody. And I was like, either I need to find somebody or I just have to admit, like, I might just be by myself the rest of my life. And Sara and I had like a real conversation. So it was like, at that moment, it was kind of like she wasn't just my ideal protein coach. She then became my life coach at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Felix is like, that's a scary idea.
I've always been Felix's life coach, so don't let him fool you. He loves my advice.
Whether he knew it or not.
No, I remember that appointment. She just was more, she was down, but she wasn't sad. And I could feel the heaviness on her. And like I said, I had a cancellation, and I had released the other patient to the free world that wasn't following rules there. So I had 30 minutes extra time, and I thought, let me really see if I can dig it out of her. And when she said, I think I have to just accept the fact I'm going to be alone forever, I thought I was going to strangle her right there in that room. And I was like, you are not going to be forever single. Don't ever say that to me again. So, and that's when I started plotting. My brain started going.
I was just going to say, this is where the wheels started turning.
Well, on the flip side of that, I'm talking to Felix on a regular basis while he's in Africa, while he's in Lafayette, and he had been single for as long as I can remember. And if not, then it wasn't worth remembering anyway, just saying. Now
it's getting real.
He agrees. So I started plotting. I thought, I can't tell Felix anything because if he's on to me at all, he is going to be so off. Like, he won't come visit. He'll just say, mail me my food. I'll send you a pic, whatever. I know him. So I knew I couldn't say anything to him. I knew Julie's personality was I could feed her hints, and that would make her more hungry for it and more engaged. So that's when I started to play my own fishing game.
All right, here we go.
One week she came in and she was still kind of in her feels about being single. And I said, look, I've been doing some soul searching and I got somebody in mind. I can't tell you much about him because he's a patient, but he's on ideal protein. I know him a lot better than I know a lot of patients. I didn't want her to tell him that he's a personal friend because I wanted her to think that this is just something happening in life. And so I would feed her every week a little thing. I'm like, oh, he works in another country. He's usually gone for 6 weeks. So it's like the perfect relationship. You don't have to see him for a while. And then you can spend a lot of time with him if you want. Just dropping, he has a good job. He's stable. He likes to do new fun things. And then here comes the cooking event. And Felix doesn't know this.
This is the plot that you hatched, and it's perfect, right? I love how you did this.
I thought, how can I get Felix's rear end up here for a cooking event? Because he is not a person that likes to be in crowds. He does not like to talk in front of people. He does not like to be the center of attention. In that aspect, him and I are polar opposites. I am like the queen of attention. I'll walk into a room, look at me, here I am, let's roll. He's like in a corner hiding as much as a 6'7" man can hide. So I thought, oh my God, I will do an entire phase 1 Puerto Rican event because Felix loved that I made all mock phase 1 Puerto Rican food. So, and he was where I perfected all of my recipes that I did at this event. So the moment I said it, he was like, I'll be there. I knew I had him like in the bag.
Yeah.
My little sister is a coach in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And I told her, I was like, I need you to come down because I have too many humans to deal with, but I need this to shake down. I need you to get Felix and Julie together cook something. I don't care what recipe it is. They have to. I can't be a part of it, whatever. I told Julie.
Because again, this was not a little event that you were putting together.
No,
this turned out to be.
I had 60 people at this event. It was
holy
huge.
Crap.
Yeah.
And it was just like, the more RSVPs came in, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do what I set out to do in this. And so that's when I got Angie to come in, and I had some other coaches from DFW help me too. We ended up having like 10 coaches there on top of the 60 patients.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of moving pieces in these cooking events. And I do it big. So I had like 15 recipes we're doing.
I can imagine.
We have 4 air fryers going, and electric skillets and induction burners, and throwing breakers, and Felix is in the back working the breaker box. And, all these things are unclogging the sink. That was one of the things that he did. All of these different moving pieces that you do like as something in your house. So Angie's one goal was to get them to cook something and to talk. And I'd already told Julie, I was like, okay, so I want y'all to do something together. Angie's going to help do this. She looks like me. She acts like me. It'll be easy to spot or whatever. So the cooking event's going on. I see.
So Julie was in on the plan. Is this what I'm
Slightly.
hearing?
She had never
Felix,
seen a picture of him.
I knew
Felix, you had no idea? Felix,
I was here on Hitch, and all of a sudden Sarah randomly at one point at 9, maybe about the same time, sends a text saying, hey, the same thing she just said. I'm planning this event. When are you coming back to the States? So-and-so date. Can you be here for this weekend? Yes. Okay. We're happening. We're going to happen this day then. Okay. So that was it. That's all I knew.
And I knew that he was going to be there. That's it. That's all I knew.
Okay.
So.
But you didn't know anything about him as far as description or.
No, she knew he was tall, Puerto Rican, and his name was Felix. That's all she knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
And I think I got delayed going back home also that trip. So I had committed.
So panic is setting in, right?
I got delayed because flight got canceled out of here, if I recall correctly, and then I got delayed leaving. I got delayed making it to Lafayette. So basically, I was home for like a day or two, and then had to drive to Dallas, Plano.
You were home a day or two. I think, Felix, you drove in the next day because you were like a zombie. Yeah. So that was that trip, I think.
It wasn't more than 2 days because usually it would take me. I would usually get home Thursday nights, and it wasn't until Tuesday after that I was already in conditions to be social again. But I was out of it completely, for sure.
I was frantic that he was going to miss the event, and I was actually getting so peeved off. I was like, he has got to get here. So. Julie's appointment was always on Friday. And so I told her, I was like, there's a small chance he's not going to make it. And I'm going to be so aggravated. And then he had texted me that night and was like, I'm on my way. I'm somewhere, my 90th stop up here, whatever. I'm being so really facetious. He knows what I'm talking about. So,
oh my God.
And he made it. So I was so excited. But Angie succeeded. She paired them up. The cooking event was fantastic. It's one of my most shared pandemonium recipes that came out of it. Like everything was a hit. And so later on that night, after we cleaned everything up and we're at my house, because Felix would stay with me whenever he'd be there. And he and my sister, I baited my sister, I actually paid her to talk to him about things because they didn't really know each other that much. I told him, I was like, feel him out. I got to know what he thinks about Julie. Like, what's he going to do? So Angie's like, what do you think about that Julie chick? Well, what do you think? And Felix is like, she's nice. I mean, whatever. And Angie's like, you had her on Facebook? Like, you're going to talk to her? So, and then Angie's like, I think you should add her to Facebook. And so in that moment, he did. And he was kind of reluctant. He looked at both of us, but he added her. And then I just let it take its course from there. And then I would find the follow-up from Julie because I knew if I pressured Felix, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would either get an abridged version or no version. That was my option.
True. Very, very true.
Oh, I know you.
And so Felix, were you clued in at this point that this might have been a setup or still not yet?
No. I'm very disconnected from that kind of stuff. To be honest, I thought she was just being nice to me and just talking.
Yep.
I had
no idea.
I went back home like nothing happened. A few days later, I made it back to Louisiana. I went about my days. And that was it. I didn't have any single clue whatsoever at this point in time.
And so, Julie, what was your impression? And were you waiting at home for him to add you to Facebook?
Yeah, I thought he was very nice. I thought he was a great guy. So I was like, okay. So like after the event that night, I was texting with Sarah and I was like, yeah, I think he's a great guy. I would love to get to know him more. Like we chatted, like had some small talk, but
She's talking to Sarah while I'm sitting next to Sarah.
Right?
I was just going about her night on the text. No, they're talking about me and I'm just sitting there watching TV.
Yep. That's how it usually is, Felix, right? We're always clueless. We're the last to figure it out, right?
Yeah. So I was like, well, I was like, should I request him, on Facebook? And, like, what do you do now? All this stuff. So we became Facebook friends and then I didn't hear from him.
Hey.
I saw that look.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, I was... Yeah, it wasn't nothing, right? I just, okay, all right. So I accepted the request and I kept going about my life, no issues. And
from what I know about Felix and in talking to him the other day, et cetera, he's very focused on his work. He's a career guy. Like he's working day and night. Right. Yeah. So,
I was basically going about my life, no issues, no changes. And then one day I said, I never said hi to this girl, so let me just say hi on the chat.
Wow.
Whatever.
Wow.
And here we are. And we started talking. I think she was on her way to the airport, I think, when I sent the text.
I was on my way. I was going on a trip with some girlfriends to Boston. And so he literally texted me and I was boarding the plane. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe he's messaging me. But I didn't want to be like rude. So I was like, hey, I just got your message. I was like, I am sitting on the plane, ready. The plane's about to take off. But I'll message you as soon as I can. So, I had a long weekend with friends away and we chatted here and there. And then they came back from the trip and we still were chatting, and it was like a couple nights after I got home, my phone rang and I was like, who's calling me with a Puerto Rican number? I was like, Sarah's number's from Puerto Rico, but I have her program. Like, I don't think Luis would call me, like, what's going on? And then I was sitting there in the living room. I lived with my sister. And I was like, I think this is Felix. This has to be Felix. And my sister's like, answer the phone. And so he called and that was him. And we were chatting. And, it was just like, wow. Like, we instantly connected, even like, we connected through like messaging. And then we connected through chatting on the phone. And I was very impressed because, we're in a technological age where it's easy just to text and hide behind the screen and chat that way. So he called and we talked for about a week or so. And then he was like, hey, if I come back to Dallas, would you like to go out on a date? And I was like, sure, let's do it. So
I have two things to say about that because I was shocked. So I've known Felix for, he said, 13 years. How many times in 13 years do you think this man has called me? Zero.
I texted you a few times. That counts.
Yes. So I always stood as a coach and I'm typing in her biometrics and she goes, yeah, Felix called me. And I stopped and I looked at behind me and I said, he called you or he texted you? And she said, no, he called me. We talked on the phone. And I was like, oh, girl. He wants you. We're good.
Oh man. So you meet again together in person and go out on a date.
We do.
And I think this is a really neat thing that we talked about that I think a lot of people will connect with. People will be helped by. And I think that we need to really talk about this date and just the way that you felt about being able to go out with someone. First off, I want to try to understand at this stage of both of your journeys with Ideal Protein, you had probably lost how many pounds? Or, were you pretty close to the end?
I had just hit 100 pounds.
Okay.
Right, like that Friday or so, or the Friday after the event. Like it was soon after that, I hit 100. So
Yeah.
And I was over 100 by this point in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
120, 130 at this point.
Yeah. Okay. And so, so you guys are going out on a date to a restaurant.
yeah.
Yeah. I drove. I recall it was Friday. Yeah. I
Mhm.
drove. I used to drive my car between Louisiana and Texas, and basically I left, and I still to this day I cannot drive in the Texas area anywhere without GPS. So even with the GPS, I could not find the house because they're doing construction in Plano. My GPS is telling me to go here, there. Eventually, I decided, hey, let me just call and see. Hey, I'm here. I don't know what I am. But I should be there in the next 10 minutes or so. Anyways, but I made it. I made it eventually to Plano. I introduced myself again. I guess I introduced myself to her sister
Mhm.
because, as she said, she lived with her sister at that point. Then we went on our date. We went to a steakhouse, I recall. Yeah.
Right. And, we kind of talked, Sarah and John and I talked this week, like how comfortable it was to go on a date with somebody who ate exactly like you did.
Yeah.
Like even more importantly, understood how in honored you, how you ate and how you choose to eat.
Yep.
And because even to this day, when we go out and order, we're like, okay, we're nice people, but our order is going to be kind of complicated. So just heads up, substituting, say no to certain things, so it was great to like enjoy a dinner, enjoy being in a company with somebody that you like and being comfortable with what you're eating and not being questioned on why you chose to ask for no butter on your steak, so it was, it was that was all that those worries, those nerves, that part was taken away. So it was just so comforting to be in the presence of somebody else who just honored the way you decided to eat without questioning it.
You know what the most complicated part about the whole date was? Attempting to control myself on something stupid. That's basically that was the toughest thing about that whole date. Just don't make yourself look like a fool by opening your mouth and say something wrong. That was.
He did well. He did well because date turned into date weekend. And I thought about this later. Sarah, you had another event that Saturday that, we went on a date Friday. You had an event at your house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the barbecue event. Yes.
It was a very small event because then I was like, because I came to it later and, he had made me a plate and saved a plate for me. So, yeah. But yeah, our date, date one turned into a whole weekend of dating. We saw each other every day. And, in the back of our minds, we both knew that he was going to go back soon, back over here to Angola. And I knew I was about to go on a vacation. So, so our time is very limited. And as we moved through our relationship too, we knew that since our time is so limited, we have to use our time wisely and spend as much time with each other as possible. So yeah, we spent the whole weekend together. And then we saw each other the next weekend even. He came to Houston. My family, we were leaving on another cruise. And,
I almost called this episode The Love Boat, but
right. And so he met me in Houston, and not only did he meet me, he met my whole family. My mom, my sister, my brother, my aunt, uncle, everyone was there because he came to pick me up from my brother's house. So he met everyone.
Oh, that's pretty big, right?
Yeah.
That's really big.
Yeah.
So also, as all this stuff is going on, there was a really neat thing that happened for you, Julie. Ideal Protein somehow caught wind of your journey and your story. I don't know how that happened. And you were chosen to be one of their amazing transformations.
I was. So December of 2018, I was selected, and they came. The camera crew came down from Canada.
Yeah, Arnaud and the gang. Shout out to them. They did an amazing job.
They did a wonderful job. It was so fun to spend the weekend with them. And so they came to my mom's house and we did some filming there. And then Sara joined the filming on Saturday and Sunday. So it was just so great to have the opportunity to share my story and put it out there for everyone. And when the video was released, I didn't, kind of like Felix was saying, he didn't advertise what he was on a journey of becoming more healthy. I didn't advertise it either. And so that was the first time I had posted about my transformation with the video. So that was the first time a lot of people had seen me outside of my family, you know, like friends and that years. So yeah, so it was just great that I got to showcase it through being chosen through the amazing transformation. So,
and you know, I got to tell you, of all these amazing transformations and all the before and after pictures that I see on a regular basis, you're just a totally different person. Yeah. You know, when you shared your before picture with me, I was like, wait a second, is that the same person? I mean, both of you, actually, Sara, the same, right? And I said that about Sara when she sent me hers. I'm like, okay, that's not you. That's totally a different person.
Yeah.
So amazing. And then the thing I also thought was so neat about this is that Sara and your relationship had become so tight that you even started dressing alike.
Right. And I like to call this outfit my mini Sara outfit because it actually
twinning.
is her shirt. So
twinning.
She passed down to me. So, but yeah, I mean, Sara and I had slowly become closer, you know, we would chat about my life, like ideal protein life, but in like life in general. Then she introduced Felix and I, and then, you know, like during this transformation video filming on Sunday, Arno and the crew came over and they filmed us cooking dinner, and Sara was there in the background, but she was there to be my friend. She was there to support. She wasn't there that Sunday as my ideal protein coach. She was there as my friend, and it was just great because once we prepared the videos meal, we actually all sat down together and had that meal together, and that was just like, wow, you know, like, look, this is kind of full circle of what has been brought to me through ideal protein, was the friendships, finding love. You know, Felix was out of town, so he didn't get to be in the video. He was okay with that.
No, I was just going to say, he was probably okay with that, wasn't he?
That was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So the dates kept going. When did things get actually really serious? Like when did you know that this might be it?
So I feel like it was, for me, I felt like it was pretty quick. Like that fall of 2018. Like
I know when. I can tell you when.
Oh.
It was the fall.
Here we go.
It was the fall because 2 events took place. I used to meal prep for Felix every time he would come into town. He bought me containers and I would buy vegetables and cook for the 2-3 weeks he was going to be in town. He'd freeze it, whatever. It was this whole Saturday event after I would coach on Fridays. And he would stay with us, right? So I think it was the fall. I don't remember when exactly. I don't know if it was Halloween time or when it was. But I said, hey, I'm going to the grocery store before you get here. What veggies do you want? Do you want me to make some mofongo for you this time? You want cauliflower rice? And he goes, no, I think I'm okay this time. You what? I said, I'm not going to cook for you.
You're not going to eat?
I'm like, what are you going to eat? He's like, no, I'm figuring out on my own. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, I have the room ready for you, whatever. And he's like, well, I'm not going to stay with you this time. And I said, oh. You go, okay. And I almost asked you to get in your hotel, but I didn't because I didn't tell me what was happening. And that's whenever I knew things was getting hot and spicy. And I was like, okay, this is going next level because I'm no longer the center of attention when it comes up here. Yeah.
Oh, and you know, she just literally, she just let it out because I knew it was in there, right? She is no longer the center of attention. Interesting.
And is that on that back burner for to stay warm?
And in fact, Felix, I got to tell you, after the ladies, I met with the ladies this week and they were telling me all this stuff. I'm thinking to myself, this man is brilliant. He knows he's got these two ladies. They're cooking for him. They're freezing stuff. They're doing everything. He's no dummy. He's working this, right?
Hey, I gotta figure it out to some extent, right? I might look foolish to some extent on some instances, but I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm on to you, man. I am on to you. But also, I guess this is why sometimes it seems as if you have two wives.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is a known fact between the two of them. Sarah is wife number one, and will always be wife number one. And Julie's wife number two, and she's okay with that too. You know.
Fair enough. So it's fine. Yeah. I mean, we view each other as equals, so it's fine.
Hey.
Yeah.
When they got
Again.
married, I said, I guess I'm wife two. And he said, oh, no, you're always wife number one. I'm like, I'm good with that. Okay.
Yep.
Felix has got it going on.
Yeah.
So let's do this though. Talk to us about the proposal. How did that work? How did that happen? I don't even know the story. I don't think. Did he put it in an ideal protein wrapper and pass it across the table, or?
That would have been a good idea.
Actually, that
Right?
is very, very brilliant. I didn't even think about that.
You know what? When you find wife number 3, come to me first. Okay. We'll figure this
Anniversary
out.
goals, Felix. Anniversary goals. That's what you got to do.
There we go.
I should have put the ring inside one of those wrappers for the
Wafers.
No, those are mine things. Hers are the caramel. The peanut butter bars. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
Amen, sister. Woo.
Yeah. So, fall of 2019, Felix was offered a position as a live-in here in Angola. So he called me. Our whole relationship was very virtual based when he was here. Thank goodness for cell phone technology. Like, we used an app called WhatsApp, and we could text, we can call, we could video chat. And so from Plano to Angola, there's 6 hours difference, but then when it comes fall, it becomes 7 hours. So like, we had to very much like schedule when we were going to talk. So we knew we had a set schedule of when we chatted, and worked for us. And he called me and was like, hey, so how do you feel about living in Angola? And I was like, so basically that was the proposal. Pretty much.
You romantic devil.
Hey, I'm a black and white kind of guy. You know, I don't. Sadly enough, I don't sugarcoat anything. So I called her. I said, hey, so I was just proposed this. So this is what's going on. How do you feel about it? Her response was very simple. If you go, I go. All right. Keep in mind that I'm here at this point in time, right? So I had to make it back to the States at one point on days off. Yeah. So I bought a ring, proposed, and here we are.
He came in on December 15th. Back into the States, and he stayed through the weekend home to rest up. Then he traveled to Plano, and in order to get things, so timeline wise, this is December 2019. So This is all pre-COVID. So the whole plan.
Right.
Yeah, so the whole plan was he was going to move over here in March to live full time. I was going to come after the school year ended so I could finish teaching that school year. So, but for visa purposes, paperwork purposes, we needed to be married by the end of 2019. So he came in mid-December. We had to be married quickly. So,
wow.
Yeah, so he came in, and
I remember I came in on December 9th.
Yeah.
I slept. That was like whatever time day it was. I was home for 2 days. I drove to Plano. Maybe a day or two after, I bought a ring, showed it to her proposed officially to her the next day.
After I got home from work.
Yep.
It was on the 18th. And we went to the Justice of the Peace on the 19th. We actually had a marriage certificate before I had an actual engagement ring.
Oh, wow.
In Texas, you have to have at least 72 hours in advance. So
Gotcha.
we had already his first day there, we went to go get the marriage certificate. So this was the pictures that you have up actually is our second. So we actually had 2 weddings. So we got married at the JP. You had a picture up of us. We're sitting down on the balcony. That was the JP ceremony.
Yeah, I wonder about that bouquet.
So,
yeah.
So that one was our Justice of the Peace ceremony. That was just my mom and my sister, Felix, the judge, and the 2 photographers. That was it. We had to get married on paper quickly, so that's what we decided to do. But I had always wanted an actual wedding too. His parents couldn't come, so we went ahead and had a second wedding in the February. And it was a smaller event with friends and family. And the great thing about it is, since we already were married, I had a great friend of mine that she was the officiant, and she's just, a lawyer by day. So,
that's great.
Official, but it was just very fun. And it's funny that you played the Africa song, because that was the song that we walked out to together at the end of our wedding.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because we had to tie that all together. But yeah, so everyone knew at this point that that's where we were coming here to Africa. And so that wedding, the second wedding, was February 27th. So Felix's family was able to come in from Puerto Rico. I had family. Come in, and we got to celebrate with family and friends. And then shortly after that, we went back to Lafayette to pack him up because he was moving here, and we got him all packed up, and then things started shutting down. And so he's supposed to be coming back the end of March. I don't remember the dates, but he was supposed to come back, and his flight was at the very end of March, and he got a call about 2 days before saying the continent, the whole Africa's closed. There's no way you can even get in. And thank goodness we got stuck together. We are now stuck in lockdown together. This is the first time we have spent long, lengthy time together. I mean, the most days in a row I think we had calculated before that was like 20 days together.
Yeah. Wow.
And we were like, okay, so now we're in lockdown together. I'm working from home. He's still working from home. Then on top of that, since I was still living with my sister's with us. So here's Felix, myself, my sister, and 2 dogs living together during lockdown. So, I mean, why not? You didn't get to spend weeks together prior to all this. Why don't we just do it now together and lock down?
So it's like, welcome to the family. Here we are.
We get along great. Jen and Felix get along so great. And he's never had animals before growing up. And now he has 2 dogs.
2 dogs. Yep.
So yeah, that's it's been kind of a whirlwind of our first year together, but it's been so great. There's been so many blessings within it. Just, thank goodness he was on the stateside part when COVID
before the continent shut down.
Absolutely, because things didn't start opening up. He came back here in mid-October. So, and at that point, I had already, since there was no timeline for me to come over because they weren't processing visas, I was like, well, I got a job teaching again, because we were just told nothing's happening, everything's a standstill. Well, we found out right after Thanksgiving, very early December, just a couple months ago, that I got to come over. So we had to take advantage of this opportunity because we didn't want to be distanced. The whole, thing was we were going to live over here together in Angola. So
and there you are now. And again, I keep every time that we've talked about this over the past couple of weeks, if you'd have gone back to 2016 and somebody had told you in the next couple of years, the both of you are going to lose over 250 pounds between you, and
Yeah.
you're going to find somebody, get married, and move to Africa. Would you believe it? Would you ever have believed it?
No, me
No.
neither.
That's
I mean, I told Sarah I was gonna be single the rest of my life. I mean, I got a dog, and I was like, it'll just be me and Molly. It'll be me and my little beast. Like, that's it. So,
yeah.
like, we are. So, yeah.
Oh, that's just so amazing.
And I think Felix was in the same mindset. I think he thought he was going to be single the rest of his life, and I would be his, makeshift wife.
Wow.
So,
You're already doing all the cooking and all the other stuff. And he doesn't have any strings tied, so.
And I was also on a different situation, right? Because I was not anywhere on a consistent basis, so it's kind of hard to say that you're going to be able to
right.
meet anybody when you're barely there, right? Over here, obviously, I was just working through the day, went back to the staff house, repeat every single day for 5-6 weeks at a time, go home, and then I was just trying to get some stuff done on my time off. That was it. Nothing major. There wasn't really anything on site, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that was a big part of our conversation when we first started talking, was him like asking me, like, you understand like how often I'm gone, and then when I'm here, like just that time, like, oh, I understand, and I already knew. Sarah told me. But just establishing that and like knowing and like honoring that with each other helped, I think was one of the big things in our relationship that helped also carry it, was just knowing that our life is not a typical relationship. So. Yeah.
No, but you know what? I got to tell you, I did want to make the comment that at both of your weddings, you got Felix to not wear a hat.
Yeah.
I was against my will. I was vouching for polo and jeans and a hat, but somebody didn't do it.
No, you got overridden on that one. Yep.
No.
Yep.
Hey, I'm a basic guy. I don't. Unlike Sarah, I don't like to bring too much attention to myself. I'm happy and content with just jeans, a polo shirt, because I don't go out with if it's not a polo shirt either. You will not see me walking around a t-shirt and jeans. Not happening.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You bring up a great point that I had forgotten about, Felix, and I don't know that you know that we talked about your jeans.
We did.
This evidently was a thing for you too, right? How often did you end up having to buy new jeans? It's like every time you came to the States.
Every pitch coming back, I was basically buying jeans. It got to the point that I said, I am not spending money on jeans. So I started buying 2 at a time. And it was basically 2 for the current size I was wearing and 1 for the next down. Because I knew
the next size.
Back coming into the States, so I didn't have to run around pulling my pants up through the airport. I needed to already have one ready. And that's what I was basically working out. I went with basically 2 pairs. I bought 3 pairs at a time. 2 for the current size, 1 for the one below. I was wearing them here, alternating. And then by the time it was time for me to come back to the States, I had to use that other smaller one already.
Yeah. And then, again, hashtag good IP problems to have, right?
Yeah. Right.
Between that and the clothing purchases, obviously, because you have to keep adjusting, right? You don't keep the smaller sizes at hand all the time, so you have to keep adjusting it. That became a thing for sure.
He adjusted easier. I had a harder time adjusting too.
She didn't want to let anything go.
Well, and Julie
closet out.
Oh, yes. But Julie also had the privilege of, I may or may not have a shopping problem. Felix can attest for that.
Can't imagine.
Let me rephrase that. You got it all figured out, so it's not a problem anymore.
Right.
Exactly.
If you admit to it, is it really a problem?
Julie got a lot of my hand-me-downs that I may or may not have even worn. So it worked out well for her. Not so much with Felix end to end with the clean out of the closet, because it was just that much more.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the final couple of pictures that Julie had shared with me of you two. I think, once Julie finds something she likes to wear, she likes to wear it. Right?
Obviously, this is not the only shirt that I own, but apparently in the pictures it is.
This will become a keepsake eventually.
The keepsake.
He teaches me everything I have is a keepsake.
I'm very surprised that the moving truck that we rented to move from one apartment to another while in the States, she did not ask me to purchase it as a keepsake. That's our first move into
Dead.
Or evidently the plane that brought everything over to Angola. Hey, so
she has purchased a lot of keepsakes so far in the few weeks she's been here. So that's going to become another event going back when that time comes.
You might need a bigger apartment.
Right.
So this picture here, am I right or am I wrong? This one at Whiskey A Go-Go or whatever that is.
Whiskey cake.
That's a recent picture because that was Sara.
My birthday.
Yeah.
Last month. Yeah. That was right. That was the day that I was on that morning. That evening. Sorry, I was returning back here, starting my journey back here. So
I figured that. Yeah, I figured it was pretty close to when you actually left over there.
She went to brunch with me, and that was my birthday present. I got to see my friend before she went to see my other friend.
Oh,
so
that's great. Well, but that brings up a really great point. And so when travel really opens up and things get going, I think that a trip to Africa is in store, right?
Come on over.
And not for nothing, I think Sara and I should come over, and you guys need to book a safari so that we can. I want to see lions and tigers and elephants and giraffes. You promised me a giraffe, but you didn't produce.
No, that's our hope is, once things start opening up more, we will be able to travel. Like we have this great opportunity living abroad.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Like that when we knew we were coming here, we were so excited for that. Like this is what our life is going to be. We're going to travel for some time and, how just a great experience to share together. So when it all opens up, come on over. We'll go on a safari.
Just a beautiful continent,
Yes.
I just think that,
yeah, it's just it's so different, and it's great to experience how different it is. And, you get to see, just how people live a life differently. And it's just great, gives you great perspective in life.
Well, you know what? I want to thank you guys so much for sharing your story with me. This has been so much fun. I love having successful clients and their coaches on to see that interplay and that relationship. But you guys took it to such another level. Felix, I really want to thank you for putting up with all of this. I know we kind of ambushed you with this idea anyway. But you were a great sport.
He can't say no to me.
You are a great sport. Even halfway around the world, he can't say no.
Yeah, I can. She'll come search me.
He's not wrong.
You're right.
This might cost me greatly if I would have said no. So
I'm sure it would have. So yes, thank you, Julie and Felix.
Thank you
so much, Sara. Hang out in the studio after we go ahead. After I close things up, we'll talk a little bit before you go.
Okay.
All right. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic show! So much fun. I can't even imagine being on another continent like that, moving that far away. But those two have really found love, and I think that's so neat. I think it's neat that they have the same lifestyle. How many people out there are worried about that they've adopted this healthy lifestyle, and who might they, if they'll find somebody, ask your coach, because evidently your coach might have ideas. Or if not, Sara is going to start a dating service. She told me. Maybe not. All right. I'm going to bring this one to a close. As always, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, pass this on, share this to people that need to watch or hear it or love it. And as always, keep searching and keep your journey going towards life possible.